Welcome to Greenspoon Marder's Cannabis Quick Hits, your single source for everything you need to know about the cannabis industry. My name is Nick Richards. I'm a partner at Greenspoon Marder, and I'm so honored to have my partner, Irina Dashevsky, and co-chair of the cannabis practice here at Greenspoon Marder with us today. Irina, it was a huge day. It's been a huge week, right? We heard that cannabis is going to be rescheduled to Schedule 3. It was all over the news yesterday. And gosh, Irina, it seems to be that sources are saying that cannabis is going to be rescheduled. What does it all mean? Who are these sources? What's going on?
Hey, Nick. Excited to do this quick hit with you. Yeah, probably one of the most historic days in the kind of cannabis industry as we know it today. Yesterday, I guess some sources from the DEA, which is within the Department of Justice, who was tasked with taking a recommendation from HHS and determining whether cannabis should indeed be rescheduled to Schedule 3. Sources from the DEA initially told the Associated Press that they were going to recommend the reschedule to Schedule 3. And that set off a frenzy of press. And I believe it has since been confirmed that indeed the DEA will be taking this step. So that reclassification hasn't happened yet. And I think it would be good to kind of unpack what that means. What do you think?
Yeah. And what is that? Is that removing it from the Controlled Substances Act? Is that a different schedule?
It's a different schedule. Yes. So Schedule 1 is the most kind of dangerous drug schedule. Substances that are on Schedule 1 are deemed to have virtually no medicinal value and highly addictive. Schedule 3, an example would be like a Tylenol plus codeine. So substances on Schedule 3 are deemed to have medicinal value. You can get them through prescription. So you need a prescription from your doctor. And they are, while still possibly addictive, considered far less addictive than substances on Schedule 1. So I think that, this has a myriad of implications for everybody. Coming from the state legal cannabis industry, which is sort of who we represent here at Greenspoon Marder's Cannabis Group, it's exciting news. I think you saw all the public markets react favorably to that. And I think this is the first change we've seen at the federal level. So it's definitely progress in the right direction. But I think that with respect to cannabis at large, no, it's not a descheduling. No, it's not removal of it, making it totally federally legal. This move does not address the host of issues that have been in the cannabis discussion, such as social equity, social justice reform. It really doesn't do any of that. All it does is acknowledge that cannabis does have medicinal value and belongs lower on the Controlled Substances Act schedule.
And Schedule 3, that's not our current industry, right? That's a brick and mortar standard pharmaceutical level of scheduling, isn't it?
I believe so. That's a broad way of describing it. So in order to traffic in a Schedule 3 substance, you would need to get a license. You'd need to probably go through a lot of research and development and approval by the FDA. And like I said, those are usually pharmaceutical products that are obtained through prescriptions by a doctor. And so that really lends itself to the pharmaceutical industry. So what it means for the state legal cannabis industry, whether medical or adult use, it really means nothing's going to change. Those markets will remain the same. They're state licensed. They will continue to be as they are. And this will have no impact operationally speaking, but I think it's going to have one pretty big impact, which is in your wheelhouse. And that is the applicability of Section 280E. And if I'm not mistaken, that would go away because of this rescheduling. Is that right?
Irina, that has become my middle name. I'm going to have to change my name. This is crazy. I don't know what to do.
If 280 goes away, Nick becomes one of your really solid tax attorneys without a middle name.
No more middle name. Yeah, that's right. So Section 280E specifically says that it applies to Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 controlled substances. So going to Schedule 3 would remove Section 280E. And that's a big deal. The cannabis industry is currently just floundering and largely not profitable because of Section 280E. So it's a huge change for the industry. It opens up a lot of questions about, when that change would apply for tax purposes. Is it retroactive? Is it not? What happens to 280E costs from the past? Can they now be deducted? Things like that. So there's still a number of big questions out there. Irina, I think I can kind of answer a bit of the retroactive question, which I'm sure that our listeners are interested in. And essentially, there's a code section on it. That's the great thing
I'm
about
shocked.
I know, right? Us tax lawyers get to look to and say, there's a code section. So there's a code section here. It's section 7805B. And section 7805B states that regulatory changes for tax purposes are effective upon the date that they are published in the Federal Register. So that would be the effective date. Now, it does also allow for retroactivity, and the Commissioner of Internal Revenue can announce retroactivity and declare that, for example, if we were rescheduled in 2024, that it was retroactive to the beginning of 2024. And I think one important thing, Irina, for our clients to understand is that there is an individual pathway as well to request retroactivity. And so, hey, we have the 2023 year coming up, probably in the fall for most people, and there's an opportunity to perhaps request retroactivity all the way to 2023, right? The worst the IRS could do is say no. So I think that is a real possibility that our clients need to understand. And there could be real big dollars there too, right? Irina, some of our bigger companies, 280E is $25-30 million a year.
Oh yeah. It's a
So
game changing amount of money.
Yeah, a lot of dollars there. A lot of dollars
So,
there.
while things are pretty clear, at least as you've described them, that 280E would go away, I think that the rescheduling, at least for, again, current state legal operating businesses, in terms of other things that this would do, there may be potentially access to now the bankruptcy courts. There may be potentially access to federal IP protection, but it's really unclear. I think this is something that everyone's evaluating and thinking through, and it'll also matter once the rules are published. It'll actually matter once this rescheduling happens. What I want to do is let folks know, just because they announced it doesn't mean it's happened yet. There's a bit of a process, and that process could be quick, but things at the government level rarely are quick. So first, what's going to happen is the DEA is going to give its recommendation to the White House Office of Management and Budget. That's kind of right under President Biden's purview, so we do not expect it to stay there long. Once they sign off on it, there would be a proposed rulemaking published, and then it would be out for public comment. And during that period, folks are able to comment on the proposed rule. And anyone's able to do so, stakeholders, individuals, whomever. And if there's any material comment that could potentially change what the rule is or modify what the proposed rule is, that could happen. But otherwise, after that comment period closes, the rule will hopefully become final. And after that, look, it could be subject to certain challenges. Sure, it could be subject to certain kinds of challenges even during the rulemaking process, but that's probably unlikely given who would have standing and the nature of the claims they'd have to make. And then once the rule is final, again, all such challenges would have to be kind of made through a administrative procedure and challenge act. And so you'd have to have some very specific allegations and claims as to what you're challenging at that point. So it'll be interesting to see this play out. I don't think it'll be a quick process. I think everybody needs to sort of buckle in because this will take months.
We have heard rumors and inside information that we're at the beginning of a process that could take a while and is somewhat uncertain.
You just summarized it perfectly. But the exciting thing is that once the proposed rule is published, cannabis will be a Schedule III narcotic at that point, even while the proposed rules are pending and out for comment.
And Irina, even though the industry, our current industry, kind of remains illegal, you got to think that the heat is turned down, right? It is a step in the right direction, and it's got to get our industry on footing in that direction as well. What do you think about that? Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I personally certainly think that. Again, it's definitely a step in the direction of the federal government recognizing that all these state legal markets exist, that it's an issue that US citizens and voters have been comfortable with for a very long time. You see state after state rolling out a program, and now adult use is more prevalent than ever. So I think it's the federal government finally catching up to what the citizen, to where people are at. It's interesting that it came through an administrative process. I think now there might be some pressure on Congress, which has had a myriad of proposed bills relating to cannabis sort of like be proposed and never see the light of day. I think that this puts pressure on Congress to catch up. And I think because it's Schedule 3, it's in a dramatically different posture. So, perhaps there's also a new group of investors who are going to take a second look at cannabis now because they're more comfortable with the risk profile.
Irina, am I going to be buying Bubba Kush at Whole Foods in the future? Is that where we're going with this stuff, or is that not even that's not even on the screen here?
I don't see that anytime soon. I know
Yeah.
you wish. I know you wish, but I think for now your local dispensary would be the place to go. And maybe that's fine. I think like alcohol, there's a long road ahead before things play out. And again, this industry is in a place that there's no precedent for where we are.
Yeah.
So we'll see it play out. But I think as far as folks are concerned, it's exciting news, but do not expect to be rolling into your local grocery store and buying joints anytime soon. That is not what this rescheduling means.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard it from the Oracle, Irina Dashevsky. And we are so happy, Irina, to be talking about this now. It's been so long coming. It's a big deal, and it's super exciting. Everyone, you can contact us at gmlaw.com. And Irene and I are both located on our websites, gmlaw.com. We'd be happy to talk to you about this. Happy to help you work your way into the future and ensure the success of your business. Irina, thank you so much.